Yep.
Let's do it. Okay, so first of all, Karl Meltzer, welcome to the Journey Endurance Club, to the Journey Talk number 3. You are still in a podium, which is a place where you are
Very
very used
nice.
to be. It's really an honor to count with such a legendary ultra runner, and I got to know also a very golf savvy athlete.
Yeah.
So, just like I said, the yin and yang athlete. Just like I said, welcome to the Journey Endurance Club. It's really an honor to have you as our guests. We normally start, of course, first things first. For those of you who don't know Carl, which is, I believe, a little bit impossible, but one of the things that I really find interesting about you is that, and that's very positive. You are not, at least, I've been following you for the last 2 years at least, and you are not that like dynamic in social media. So
Mhm.
you have your own space. Sometimes you share. Of course, if we search something on YouTube, we see lots of amazing videos. But
Mhm.
for those of you who don't know the SpeedGoat, and let's try just to go a little bit beyond of like Karl Meltzer. Tell us a little bit about you, something curious. We know that you love to play golf, but tell us something more, something curious about who is
Yeah.
Karl Meltzer.
Well, I mean, besides the social media thing, I think everyone sort of has their own need to follow people, their own space and what they kind of like, and I think that's part of who I am. I mean, I've learned most of the things I've done in life. I've learned the hard way, which hasn't always been the best way to learn something. But that's something that I just kind of like to take on projects by myself, and learn from doing them as opposed to reading, multiple books on training and just other people's opinions about things. I'm a very simple. I'm a very simple person.
Uh
I
huh.
think that's why I've been kind of successful because I don't get too much into the numbers and the data. I mean, I still use a Casio watch; it tells time.
Wow.
You know, I don't need the distance, the vertical gains, the heart rate, whatever. I'm just a very simple person, and I have a lot of passion for things that I really enjoy doing. Like you mentioned, golf and golf. I've been playing golf as long as I've been running since I've been 8 or 10 years old. And if I was not a professional runner, I much rather would have been a professional golfer. Not because they
So
make a heck of a lot more money, but because it's just something I really like to do. There's nothing better than seeing a white ball fly where you want it to hit it.
yeah,
So
so you would
I'm just a
be.
very simple person.
I
And
love
I,
that. I love
I
that.
try to I try not to take things for granted. I've been very fortunate over my life. I've often said that things fall into my lap, and I just kind of roll with them. And I know sort of when to press the button of when to say, okay, this is a good idea to move forward on it or not. And again, I've been very lucky by making the right decisions, whether you
Mm,
flip a coin or not. Whether it's moving to Utah, becoming an ultra runner, not moving back home, the Appalachian Trail, a lot of little things that I've done.
yeah.
I've sort of fallen in my lap, and
So
I take the chances and go with it.
tell me, like, do you think that's, I wouldn't say, or I wouldn't call old school approach, but a very
Mm-hmm.
modest, simple approach that you have not only to life but also to sports, because like you have more than 20 years of experience, and you just said that you don't care about data. You use a Casio. You don't care about art rates, which is something that we see more and more content and information on that. Would you say
Mm-hmm.
that simple, modest approach is the secret sauce for your success?
I think it is secret sauce for my success. The old school is definitely a good term to use. I think so. I am very old school. Without using the heart rate monitor, a lot of the data that people collect. Now, number one, there's nothing wrong with that. I
Yeah.
mean, there's a lot of science proven behind it. So don't get me wrong here. When I talk about heart rate, when someone says you should be in zone 2, 3, 4, whatever for certain workouts, I'm like, I know when I'm in zone 4 or 5, I can't breathe. Right? I know when I'm in zone 1, everything feels easy. So I mean, I'm sort of at the same time. I'm really good listener to my body on how I train. So I sort of know, without looking at the actual numbers that come up on the phone or the watch or whatever, I sort of can feel them in my body, and I know when to push, when to not. And I think that's a gift that, um, I mean, I kind of think I have a little bit of a gift there, and it's not bragging about it, not at all. It's just that everybody has their thing and their way of doing things, and I've been able to capitalize on my methods. Been
Okay.
done very well, and I try to teach other people those methods, which is not easy because everyone's so driven to the data, right?
Yes.
It's a challenge as a coach to teach that to others, but over time you learn, and they learn too, and it's
But
always
as a coach, you also have that approach to your athletes, like, because it's not normal. It's not normal to have that listen to your body mindset, because
right. You can't just tell someone to do that; and it doesn't just happen.
yeah, like
Yeah, definitely not.
we were talking about this, like, what we are used to listen is that go hard, go fast, you need to train every
Yeah,
day, go as fast as possible. But then, just like you're saying, we have your example of that listen to your body mindset from someone who won more than 30 100-mile races, 38, 39,
43, 43
43
now.
already. Jesus.
I got to update my website. I'm not a savvy.
Yeah.
I'm lazy on that. I can do it. I'm just lazy. It's 43 at the moment. Yeah.
Okay, 43. And do you like, are you still focused on competitions, professional races, or
Um,
you are like more, you are slowing down a little bit right now?
Absolutely slowing down a little bit.
Uh-huh.
There's no question about that. You can't
Okay.
deny that fact.
Okay.
But I still like to compete. I've over my career, so I've been running ultras since 1996, and I ran my first 100 in 96. So we'll say I've been running hundreds for 25 years. I definitely don't seek out the UTMB, the Hard Rock, the Western States, the biggest ones in Europe anymore, like I may have used to in the past, which was at the time was pretty much UTMB. Right now, because I've run about 7,500 milers. Not all different ones, of course. I've run Hard Rock a bunch, Wasatch, but I like to seek out new courses that I really haven't done at this point. And whether I try to go to a race where I feel I'll be competitive. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not seeking out the strongest field in the world because I have no chance. But I kind of like to go to a race where it feels like, there's 5 or 7 or 8 guys that can all win, and it's still a race. It doesn't have to be a world best
Yeah.
performance time wise,
Yeah.
but when a race is a race. If it's close, it doesn't matter. When I play golf with my buddies and we both play terrible, but I beat them by 1 stroke, it's a great race, right? Or if we
Okay.
play really well, it's a great race. If we beat them by 25 strokes, it's no fun. So
And
the whole, you see what I'm saying is that you
yeah.
try to go to a race that's competitive, but doesn't have to be the biggest race of all.
Yeah. Let's just go back to the listen to your body mindset, because, well, I have so many questions. So I'm really looking forward to learn and take some value from all your experience. So that approach, do you also share that approach to your athletes? You tell them it's not all about going fast. Listen to your body. If your body or your mind says to you, like, you need to stop, you tell them to stop, or is it just something that you have for you?
Well, I think when you try to teach a client to listen to their body, a lot of times I'm always generally telling them to hold back their reins a little bit because say you have an injury or we'll call it an issue that's maybe it's affecting your running. You're a little bit injured or something like that. Sometimes you have to step back and make sure you bring that thing back to par where you're not injured anymore, which tells them to listen to your body. It's telling you right now, don't go for 18 miles today. Go 5 or 6 easy to kind of let yourself recover.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
my training is really based a lot around recovery too. And as I get older, it becomes harder to recover. So I'm still learning that process as I get older.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely, when my clients have an issue, We talk about it, discuss it, whether it's through email or a phone conversation, whatever. I try to teach them to make the right decision. And like you said, many times they don't want to make that right decision. They want to go out and push and push.
Yeah.
And, the worst thing I can say is, I told you so. You don't want to tell someone that, say something like that to somebody, but sometimes that actually happens, and then sometimes it doesn't. And, I've had a few clients over the last couple of weeks, very recent, that had an event coming up, and they had an issue with whether they thought they had a pulled hamstring or they thought something was wrong. And I said, well, no, let's just take this approach. You have this amazing base. Let's, say they have an amazing base. Taking an entire full week off before a race,
Yeah.
is not 100% ideal, but you're not going to lose your fitness.
Yeah.
You have to stay mentally confident, that you can still, you're still in the game. 1 week isn't going to hurt you that much.
Okay.
It's a matter of trying to get to the start line fresh without any issue. And that's always a challenge. So I try to teach the clients to listen to their body and figure out how to get there fresh.
Yeah. So I like that. I like that. Normally, sometimes when you think about the coach, of course, makes you a training plan, but a coach is much more than that. And when I say that it's much more than that, it's like sometimes you need to have someone who tells you stop, which is like,
or go.
Yeah.
And with the training plans too. I mean, that's exactly what I do. I do the training plans, but I also say it's really a guide.
Yeah.
A basic guide of like, this would be optimum if everything goes perfectly, but it's sort of a guide of how to lead you forward. And then we just communicate and how we change things. I may alter the plan all the time,
Okay.
because of how someone's feeling. And you kind of look at patterns of how people are training and when they're fatigued, when they're not fatigued. I mean, that also comes from the athlete who's reporting their weekly miles and their feelings and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
That's how it basically coaches off how you are feeling. So while I'm giving information on how someone's feeling, not from the data, that's how, it's coming from me. That's how I am. That's how I coach.
Okay. What's your opinion on, like, because training for an ultra running distance race is not easy. It's not like preparing for a 5K or 10K or even a half marathon. So, two questions here. So, would you say that? And because ultra running is becoming more and more and more, and I think that it's going for the next years, there will be a boom on ultra running.
Yeah.
More people are looking to go or to challenge themselves with an ultra running distance race. So my two questions are: do you think that someone to prepare for an ultra running race, it's better to have a coach? A. B. How can someone prepare physically and mentally for an ultra running race?
Well, I think, yeah. Okay. So do you need a coach? Does everyone need a coach? No, you don't. You can go run through the mountains every day or run on the type of terrain you have in whatever your local is, and get enough miles in, and you definitely can do an ultra, because ultras are very, very mental. Once you reach a certain point, it's like, do you want to quit or do you want to keep going? That's where the coach can help, though, because someone like me who has a ton of experience of working through the bad times, the low times, the issues, the not necessarily injuries, but working through, I call them the demons in your head, because the second you start a race, there's demons in the back to say, I don't want to do this. I want you to stop. The demons do that a lot. So the coach can help sometimes a lot with that. As long as you're doing your homework in terms of getting your miles in and your workouts and stuff, all you can really do from a coach's perspective is try to give them the best strategy on how to run the race. I mean, there's always the great cliche, start out slow. Well, no shit. That's standard, but that doesn't happen all the time,
Yeah.
So the idea is to really kind of mentor one of the clients to run a real smart strategic race so they get the most out of their body whether it's 50 miles, 100 miles, whatever, you know, the distance. That's kind of how I try to help them. And as far as, you know, running the training plans, again, it's like a guide. You just have to sort of, communication is really important with clients. Some communicate a lot, some communicate a little, some don't communicate. It's really a mixed bag. It all kind of balances out from my perspective at the end, but the more communication I have with my clients, the better off that they usually do. And that's just because they're staying in the moment. They're staying focused on their training, you know, instead of just saying, okay, here's 7 days this week, do these miles, and then get back and say, oh, this week was great. And that's all you hear from them. You want to hear real feedback. Yeah. The more feedback you get as a coach, the better off you can help them.
Yeah. Okay. And taking into account your experience, not only as an athlete, but also as a coach, how can, for example, I'm planning to do, let's say, a 50-mile race or a 60-mile race in the end of the year. What's the starting point, or what's important for someone who is looking to challenge or to participate in a challenge like this? How can we prepare ourselves to do an ultra running? Well, besides putting some miles, what is important in your opinion?
Well, number one is to try to keep yourself not from getting hurt, and that your coach can help that with the feel thing too. You know, you have to be, like I said just a minute ago, you sort of have to be mentally into it. You can't. The coach doesn't run the miles for you, doesn't do the workouts for you. You sort of have to be really mentally into it, or it's going to be tougher and tougher to succeed. I mean, if you say you have a race in, let's just say October from now, and it's already almost June, so that's what's only 4 or 5 months. I would typically want you to run a race or two, maybe 50K distance, 30 miles, a couple times before that 50 miler, and not as races, but as call it practice race, call it practice run. So you dial in a lot of the strategic points about it, and a lot of the fueling and, you know, nutrition during a race. Those are the hardest parts of running ultras, is the nutrition, and then the mental fatigue that you get, because it's just a long ways, you know. You have to know how to balance the run out and just run smart. Okay. And most, you know, any race over, I'd call 30, even 50K, is the real race is the last third of the distance. So I like to say in a 100 miler, I don't get warmed up till mile 40, but the race doesn't begin till mile 70. Now that sounds kind of crazy to the 5K, 10K runner, because like, warm up at mile 40, what is that? But it's the mental mindset that I say, well, I just kind of cruise through 40 if I can cruise, you know.
Yeah.
And just keep yourself together, take care of yourself. 40 to 70 is always the hardest miles, because you've got a long way to go. You're already sore, most likely you're sore to some degree, and you got a long way to go. But when you get to 70, then you can try to smell the barn at the end, and then you should be able to get there. Yeah. But but your best race will come when you run, or at least can still jog after mile 70. Okay. Because the majority of us will walk it in, you know, because we're just tired or just overworked or whatever. It's very strategic, a lot more strategic than a lot of people think.
Yeah. And in addition to of course, to the miles that you need to put in, and the nutrition that you need to, you also need to take care. For example, you personally, when you are training for a 100-mile, do you have like any other layer that you put in your training overall? So what I'm trying to ask here is that, so do you do any strength training? Do you do any mental training, or you really keep things on the old school side? Shoes, shorts, t-shirt, let's go.
Yeah, it's old school, you know. Yeah, I'm a little more prepared. Like these days, you know, with the gels and the fueling you can buy and stuff is way better than it used to be in the 90s when I started doing it. But I mean, I get my miles in the mountains. When it comes to strength training, I'm not opposed to strength training, but as long as you're doing strength training that isn't compromising your running. If you're doing so much strength training that, say you do a strength training workout in the morning, and then maybe you run in the afternoon or something, you don't want that run to be compromised by lifting too much weight or something like that. I think to run your best, you must run the most. So it's okay to maybe do a little bit out of the side, Probably me personally, though. I mean, I live next to really big mountains, and the very steep trails. I mean, that to me, that's you want strength training, run uphill. You know, I've also not recently, but in past years, I've done simple things like carry rocks. Instead of doing a specific thing at home with your weights or whatever, I'll just pick up a rock, maybe the size of a softball. It probably only weighs a couple pounds or something. Try running with that for 15, 20 minutes.
Oh wow.
And then what that can do, I mean, it gets your arms, kind of pumped and strong. When you get too tired, you just throw the rock on the ground. So it's very simple and old school, right? But that's sort of I don't do that much anymore, but I used to do that a lot when I was younger.
Uh-huh.
Uh, but again, I don't really necessarily think a strong upper body makes you a better ultra runner.
Yeah.
Be better at. I'm very good at technical terrain, but that's the terrain I train on every day.
Yeah.
So I get to do that. Like if you want to run a super technical race and you're running around, the grasslands of the golf course, chances are it's not going to be really your style of race. So you need to go out to train on the terrain that you're going to race on to do your best on that
Yeah.
terrain. And that's why I've always raced hard races because that's what I train on. I'm a terrible road marathoner, but,
Well,
but that's okay. I don't care. It doesn't
yeah,
matter
yeah,
to
yeah.
me. It
I know.
doesn't
Like
matter.
I feel the same. I feel the same. Like after many years doing like cross country and especially road races,
Mhm.
that's enough. Seriously,
Yeah,
that's
I have
enough.
no desire. No, don't. I'm not going to go run a 10K. I can pay me $10,000. I have no desire to run a 10K.
Yeah.
It's not my style.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I feel you. I feel you. Like before we move to another topic, I would love to hear from you on this. Like, how do you prepare um, a 50 mile or a 100 mile race in terms of nutrition? Do you have help from someone? How do you make the plan for the whole race in order just to make sure that you have energy to
Mhm.
go from point A to point B?
Yeah, again, very, very simple person here. So my nutrition during a race consists of about five products. One of them is water. Of course, we all need water, right? Um, Electrolyte capsules, which will either be salt stick or 68S caps, gels. Any brand will do. I kind of usually sometimes I mix them up. I run for First Endurance, and they will now have a single serve gel. I like the single serve gels as opposed to in a flask. So I kind of mix that up. Um, and then the only other thing I'm really concerned about, so we get to see gels, water, and electrolyte capsules. That's pretty much it. So if I run a 100 miler, I put enough, we'll say single serve gels in whether my drop bags or strategically in the part of the course that you can put them. Those go in my bags, and that's what I use the entire time. I will occasionally eat a little fruit. I'll occasionally off the table. I'll occasionally eat or drink a little bit of soup broth. But with the exception of those things, or soda also, Coca-Cola or any soda, Red Bull maybe. But I keep it very, very simple. I do not look at a plan where I have split times written down on a spreadsheet where I need to be this time or that time because I'm basically running on feel, just like kind of coach. Um, I just kind of jog, at a comfortable rate, and I know I have enough gel on me to keep me going, and I just keep eating one of those about every 24 minutes is my formula. So I'm getting about 250 calories per hour
Wow.
of pretty much carbs and sugar. Not a real lot. I mean, that's not a ton. A lot of people will say the 100 miler is just a long buffet, and it's not a long buffet because if you eat too much, that's when your stomach starts to
Yeah,
be challenged.
yeah, yeah.
So I really, I look at my aid stations where you can have drop bags. I'll space those drop bags out about 20 miles each, roughly, depending on the course, of course, but about that. And I'll have 4 or 5 places where I'll pick up more gel. Obviously I put my light and my maybe along, clothing. I place that along the way as I'm
Uh huh.
supposed to.
Uh huh.
But other than that, I mean, I am very old school and simple, and don't
Oh,
have an incredible plan when I eat my bar or when I eat this or that. I just if you have enough gel to get you through the race, that is really all you need.
wow. I
Um,
really love again your approach because again
Cool.
we are not used to listen that.
Right.
Actually, like this Monday, we had our what we call, it's an internal event, what we call Accountability Monday, and this week's topic was nutrition.
I'm
And
getting some echo.
sorry.
I was getting some echo right there. I didn't understand
Oh,
you.
okay, okay. So I was saying that so every week we have something that we call the Accountability Monday, and
Hmm.
so it's an internal community event. And this week's topic was on nutrition, and it's good to have different perspectives, like personal points of view on this. And I really like your very simple, old school. Not overcomplicated way of see things, and which is cool to see that works with you. So this is your personal approach
It
to
doesn't work for everyone.
yeah.
It's not going to work for everyone. If I mean, my general nutrition too is like I eat. I'm not vegan. I don't have a special diet. I don't really focus on that. I try not to eat, you know, processed junk food, but every once in a while. Not gonna lie to you, I'm a normal person. But it's okay to have a real plan too.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what are you happy with, right? If you're if I had a nutritionist or someone on the side that was in charge of my meals every day, they made my meals, they made everything. If I didn't like the taste of those meals or didn't like what I was eating, that nutritionist wouldn't be around probably very long
Yeah. Yeah.
because I just wouldn't want that. You have to just be happy with what you're doing with your life. I mean, nobody's perfect. I mean, I like to drink beer. Not most people that know me know that, and a lot of ultra runners do.
Of
There's
course.
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
You probably will run better if you don't drink a lot of beer.
Yeah.
I'm not going to deny that, but it's just like what do you want in life? I mean, we live here. We live once, right? You don't know if I could be dead tomorrow,
Yeah.
and that would not be cool, but that's certainly a possibility.
Yeah. Let's hope
So
hard.
yeah, you want to live your happy life as
Yeah.
long as you can,
True.
and that's always been my focus since day one.
Uh, it's thank you for saying that. In of course, let's hope not.
Right, right, right.
Let's now move a little bit into the story slash or plus mental side of your running journey.
Mhm.
So one of your, I would say, famous movies project. It's your last. Well, I'm not sure if it was the last attempt on breaking the Appalachian Trail record
Mhm.
from north to south.
Yep.
You now hold the third fastest time, right? But the fastest time from north to south, right?
Yeah, third fastest and fastest southbound.
Yeah,
I guess you call
southbound.
it southbound,
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
And the title of that movie is Made to be Broken. And
Hmm.
of course, we are talking about the record.
Hmm.
But are you unbroken personally?
Am I unbroken?
Yeah.
Um,
Taking into account why I'm asking this, because 20 years of experience, uh, 43 100-mile races. Sorry, 43 wins on 100-mile races. Are you still the athlete with more wins?
I am. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I still have the most. I don't think anyone's catching me anytime soon. But no, but yeah, I think that record will hang for a while. I think behind me is Jeff Browning. He has
Yeah.
22.
Yeah.
So, that's a really special thing. But I look at that as, I have 19 years in a row that I've won at least one, which is another kind of sidebar record. Call it what you want. And I'm not trying to brag about this, but many people ask me, you've got to get 20 years. You've got to get 20 years of winning a race. And I'm like, well, I'm 53, man. I'm getting old. Am I broken? My body isn't broken yet, but I definitely have a few cracks in the outer layer, if you want to call it that. I mean, I don't recover as fast as I used to. I get injured a little bit more often than I used to, and I get injured on simple things. Like you could be running a 10-minute mile and then something just kind of pops, and then you don't know that's coming.
Yeah.
It just happens. I think I'm not broken yet. As long as I can still go out and enjoy my running, and whether I'm running for first or maybe 100th place in the future. As long as I'm enjoying it, I really, it's fun. And I like seeing and helping others too, and see other people succeed. Like, I still run for Hoka, and, that's an honor to be still a professional athlete at 53. The only sport you can do that is golf, right? For the most part.
And you do both.
Yeah, right. I'm a pretty good golfer, but I'm not quite good enough to be on the tour. But it's. I look at my teammates from Jim Walmsley to Tim Tolleson, guys that are super fast. Hayden, all those guys, they're all fast. They're at a different level than I am, and they're at a better level than I ever was, even in my heyday. So I'm cheering for them to break my records. I want to see someone go at the AT record and beat my record southbound. If I can, I'm going to help them. If it would fit into my schedule, I don't know if it does, but if it did, I would help them. I think it's in our community, at least in this country, we like to see others succeed, and that's just kind of like, I like to see my friends succeed a lot now, and I try to keep the ball rolling myself. But whatever happens. It's just like I kind of take it with a grain of salt and just try to enjoy it.
But I asked that question because, like, with so many years of experience, after so many 100-mile races, which is a very big, crazy effort, you are 53 years old. So I would love to hear from you what keeps you feel that you want to show up. What drives you to still, like, I'm here, I'm still competitive.
Mm-hmm.
I continue to go outside, show up. So what keeps you showing up? What drives you?
I don't think I know any better. I think it's so ingrained in what I do. I'm always a mover. I'm always out doing something. Running has always come naturally to me. And I ask my wife. I get very grumpy when I'm not able to run. When I'm injured or for whatever reason, right? I think it's good for my soul to get out and then run again. So I think the races that I run, I like towing the line. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm competitive. I'm not elbow the other guy competitive. I'm nice to everybody else too, but I like that feeling of being in a race and dropping someone, and beating them. I'm never going to cross the finish line holding hands with someone. I've seen that a number of times. That's not my style. I might talk to him mentally and fool him and then outsprint him the last 50 yards because I'm a competitor, right?
But what
I like being on the line.
Like, do you run, or do you still run mostly for the competition, or?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, you continue your question, but I think, yeah, I don't see myself. I've had an old friend of mine ask me one time. He said, "Do you think you'll still run ultras when you're not winning? When you're kind of just middle of the pack, a little better middle of the pack?" And I said the answer I told him was yes. I'll still run the ultras, but at the same time, winning never gets old, right? You like to win. When the time comes when I know that I have no chance or something, I might still run them. I really don't know the answer to that. I think it's still yet to be seen because I've still been able to click off a win here and there, and still get that feeling of winning. And it's like I said, it never gets old. It's just one of those things that when you've done it so much over your life, you want to keep doing it like anything else. It's just, I'm going to keep giving it what I got. When eventually, obviously I will. I think when I'm done being a professional runner, there's a little bit on the outside that says, if you're getting paid even a very small amount of money as a professional runner,
Mm-hmm.
you are sort of obligated to train hard and to do your work, right? And to go run a few races. So there's that little bit of peace dynamic into it. I'm not going to lie to you, but when all these companies say, "Karl, you're too old and slow, you're out of here," maybe that'll be the time when I stop actually running races. But it's right now it's like I still enjoy trying to be competitive and trying not to get chicked. Classic U.S. term of women beating the men. Um, that's just an old term that we used.
And
It's all in good fun.
if I ask you like what running means to you, will your answer be competition? Or so I will ask you what running means to you.
Well, it won't be competition. I think competition is definitely a part of it because I'm a competitive person. When I play golf with my buddies, I'm competitive. When I play croquet, I'm competitive. When I play throw darts, I want to win, right? So yeah, competition is definitely it's in my blood. I'm not, and when I lose, I don't, whine or get upset, but it's definitely competition. But it's also the well-being of knowing that, I like to be healthy. I can't imagine myself sitting on my butt, not exercising to some degree every day because I just wouldn't, because when I do finally go hiking after not doing anything for 3 months, I'm going to be dying out there. Right.
Yeah.
So that's not me. I have to constantly push the envelope of like just staying healthy, and running is an easy way for me to stay that way.
Yeah.
I mean, there aren't many sports out there you can do that are as good for your cardio as running can be.
True. True.
Um,
True. True.
it's tough.
And how do you react? Because normally, well, many people when things go wrong, they like they may think that this will ruin everything. How do you react when things go wrong? And when I say when things go wrong, is that, for example, a training didn't well, or you didn't win a race, or like you are not in a high moment in your race, you are in a very low, dark moment. How do you
Mm-hmm.
react when things go wrong?
Well, this is a tough answer for all my clients because I just kind of laugh it off at this point. Maybe in my early part of my career, I'd be a little more bummed if I didn't perform like I had expected to. But I think now, after doing this for a long time, if I have a low point in a race, um, I bonk or something like that, I just sort of laugh it off. I go, "Oh, here's the bonk, Karl. How are you going to get out of this one?" And I sort of laugh at myself because it is part of the journey. I mean, not. It's very, very rare to see yourself run a perfect race. Of all the hundreds I've won, all those 43 times, 5 or 6 of those races where I really nailed it. I really didn't have a bad patch. I didn't have a low point. I didn't stub my toe or whatever. Um, I just kind of at this point I'm like, well, move on to the next one. The last time I ran Hard Rock, I don't know what year it was, maybe 2015 or something. But regardless of that, I dropped out. Okay, I went to the race. I drove to Colorado and I went to the race. I had negative thoughts in my head before I even started the race. That's not a good sign. The race didn't go so well. I ended up dropping out. And, everyone said to me before it actually did drop out, you're going to regret this. You're going to regret it. You can continue. Just don't worry about it. Move on. And I was just Mr. Grumpy. And I just said, oh, no, I'm out. And then with the next day, sure, there was that little thing in my head that said, I probably should have kept going because I had plenty of time. I wasn't fighting a cutoff.
Yeah.
But when I drove home, I'm like, you know what? Whatever. I've had an article written about me in Trail Runner magazine years and years ago, and it was labeled the Whatever Man. So right. So, and a friend of mine wrote it. It was a great article. It was great. It's funny, and he called me the Whatever Man because I'm just like, well, whatever. If I don't run well, then I'll try again next time.
But that's somehow, I really like that because somehow that sums who you are, because you are a very simple, and of course not non-overcomplicated person. So in the end, whatever, it is what it is, right?
Yeah, exactly. It is what it is, and you can't change the past. You can only change the future. So another classic line that I've come up with over the years is like, with failure comes greater success. And I'm sure someone else has said that before, but it's very true because every time you fail at a race or anything you do in life, you probably learned something from it. So when you fail at something, you say, well, how am I going to learn? What am I going to learn from that? When I ran my first Wasatch 100 in 1996, I I was running along, and I was with the leader at mile 40, having no idea what I was doing. You know, I was running too fast, and then I bonked, I blew up, but I finished the race. You know, I mean, I can't tell you the last 40 miles was such a death march, but I finished the race, and I learned from it. So the next year I went back, I went out a little bit slower. I didn't go into the lead, you know, blah, blah. I worked my way into second place, well off the front guy. I ended up coming in seventh because I had some issues later. It's just how learning from your mistakes is always the best way for me to do better. And that's, you know, it's by saying whatever and just moving on
I love
and
that.
not worrying about the past is.
I love that. Um, like complementing the question of and actually that you said that you are the whatever person. I love that. Going to your last attempt to break the Appalachian Trail, and since you are someone who listens to your body, um, during those 45 days, especially on the bad moments, and congratulations on the movie because the movie is incredible.
Yeah, thanks.
Um, what did your body was telling you during those 45 minutes? Uh, and I'm not talking here. Of course, your focus was to break the record. That was your main focus, and I'm sure
Absolutely.
that every time, every step you take, it was like I'm moving closer to break the record. But overall, what was your body telling you during those 45 days?
Well, when in 2016, the year that I did break the record, when the movie was broken, when the movie was made, the first 18 days of that journey, we'll call it, were perfect. Okay, I was where I was supposed to be. You know, going down the trail, I felt generally pretty good. I mean, my shins were real sore. Well, they weren't real sore, but they were tight. It's kind of hard to explain, but that's part of the deal. When you do 50 miles a day, things are going to hurt. But then on that 19th day, uh, I was in New Jersey. I believe I was in New Jersey, and I was walking or jogging real. Nobody jogs fast on the AT at that rate. You're jogging slow, but you know, we'll call it one of the guitar strings in my shins seemed to pop. Like all of a sudden, it was like, okay, there's the whatever moment, you know. But my focus when I did the AT was to give it everything that I had and not give up. And so I continued on to finish off that day, and all I could do was try to get my shins to feel better, which was a major challenge. And then so from that point on until the next maybe 10 days or so, all the way through Pennsylvania, my shins were on fire. I mean, anytime I kicked a rock, I, you know, would wince in pain, or I'd even yell out some obscenities in pain. Um, but that was just, I kept telling myself it's part of the deal. You've got to keep moving. You're not off record pace. Don't stop. Don't, you know, give it everything you got. And eventually, ironically, that, you know, my shins sort of calmed down a little bit after a week or two, and I kept moving. But there were a lot of bad days out there. It wasn't, you know, yeah, I got the record. I didn't get it by very much. I think like 9 hours. Um, it could have been a lot faster. Coulda, shoulda, woulda, didn't. But that's just, you know, that's like that with anybody's record. Any record is always made to be broken because it will get broken to some point, at some day. My goal was just to give it everything I had, and you know, I had the support. I did so much recon on the trail after 2014, and thanks to Red Bull for that, because they supported all of that. They basically had a blank check and said, "Go do what you need to do." And you know, who gets to do that? You ask yourself that question, right? I would ask myself that question a lot. Like, you have a bad patch, and like, all right, well, I'm just some guy who moved to Utah to be a ski bum, and now I'm on the Appalachian Trail with full support from a company like Red Bull. That, you know, I mean, that's priceless. That fell
Yeah,
into my lap.
yeah,
It's priceless. So you have to tell yourself to be thankful for what you have, and you know, the AT. I mean, it was. and I don't know if you've ever been on a trail like the
No,
AT
no, no,
before.
no.
Right. It's very. I mean, you see the photos, you see the stuff like that, but it's ungodly technical all the time. You know, like there's no looking up at the scenery. You're looking at your feet the whole time. It's very hard, and you really have to stay into it mentally. I just tried to do the best I could and give it everything I had, and I didn't really know I had the record until I got. You know, I might be 4 or 5 days out. I'm like, if I blow it now, then I'm an idiot. But again, I had all the respect knowing that anything can happen. I
Yeah.
could, my guitar string and my shin could pop again or whatever. Uh, it's an incredible journey. So you got to be thankful for being able to do that kind of stuff. And I just think I've been very lucky, you know.
Yeah. We are we are reaching the end part of our conversation. I would love to ask you one or two more questions. So, and the first one is, I I listened or I read somewhere that when you were a child, and you kind of said already that. So when you were a child, you were like the sofa for you was like something very secondary into your life. So
Yeah.
because you
Uh-huh.
were always looking to do something, you were always looking to uh, like be outdoors, moving yourself.
Hmm.
And what's happening nowadays is like the mindset of people is a little bit different. So they prefer to be more in a comfort zone. They don't want to risk. They don't want to challenge themselves. Um, would you say that ultra running might be the cure somehow for this uh, comfort zone mindset?
Yeah, I think. I mean, when I was a kid, we didn't have gadgets to play with, right? I mean, we had Atari. You're too young to even know what that is, maybe.
I
But
don't know what it is.
right, it's a video game, little video game console that you had on your TV, okay? And you
Okay.
play little games that were like as simple as possible, like hit the dot going back and forth. That's how simple it was. Okay, when I was a kid, we didn't have our phones and our gadgets and our things to communicate with others. We, mom rang the bell when you came to dinner at 6 o'clock. All the kids in the neighborhood. I lived in a neighborhood with a fair amount of kids, and we rode our bike into the woods. We went fishing. We did some things we weren't supposed to do. Played baseball in the street. We did stuff like that until it got dark. Until we had to go inside and our parents made us go to bed. Now I don't have kids now, so I can't really say what kids do. But there's more. It's more electronic driven, and everything is all. It's so easy to do. You want a pizza? Punch it on your phone. You want to go. You want to ride your bike in Italy? Well, get on your Peloton and look at the screen. You're riding in Italy. It's very. Everything is very controlled over the gadgets these days, and I don't really like that, but you talk to anybody who's older than I am, they'll just be like, they don't even know how to use their phone. I hardly know how to use my phone. Hardly know how to use my computer. But it was just different times. I grew up playing in the woods. Moving
Yeah.
rocks around with my dad, making rock walls and stuff like that. And I'm glad that's what I did when I was young.
But in your opinion, what would you say to someone like? And the question is, why should you prepare yourself to do an ultra running race? Not to
Well,
win, but taking into account all the other benefits that another running race brings to people, why
well,
people should look forward to challenge themselves in even a 30-mile race or 32-mile
right.
race.
And so I've asked, people, I said, why do you do that? And I said, we do it so we can talk about the stories later. It's the battle. Like what's crazy about an ultra marathon, the longer ones too, and maybe the AT too, is like when you're out there in the moment, when I'm walking on the trail or I'm in a 100-mile race or someone's in a race, you're battling. You're not just some guy running by where someone says, "Hey, good job, you're doing great." There's all these other demons in your head that you're fighting, whether it's aches and pains in your legs or a cramp or whatever. Um, when you finish the race, it's the success that you get from finishing, the accomplishment. You know, it's very, when you accomplish something like that, you can change your life. People hike the AT, they just regular through hikers, that it has changed a lot of people's lives because they're like, wow, I just spent, 6 months in the woods by myself. Sure, you may meet other people, but you're really on your own. You're taking care of yourself. You're carrying only 20 pounds of something on your back, and you accomplish this 1,200-mile journey through the woods. Satisfying, and it can make you a better person in the long run because you know what it feels like to suffer, and if you can get out of that suffering, then you're one step ahead of the curve on that one for sure. Too many people stay away from that potential suffering, and then I think when they get older in life, they're like, well, what did I do in my life? Well, I didn't really do anything. I made a lot of money. What are you gonna do with that? Lay on it in a bed? I mean, I've never focused my life on that. I mean, sure, you've got to make some money, but the bottom line is that that's never been my focus. My focus has been to have fun, and ultra running has taught me a lot of ways to just not worry about others. Just kind of, not that you shouldn't worry about others, but just how to take care of yourself, and how to be self-sufficient.
Yeah.
Ultra running can definitely teach you how to be self-sufficient. On a slightly different topic, in the U.S. we have, in most 100-mile races, there's a pacer or a guide runner, whatever you want to call it. In all other countries, they really don't have that. So the U.S. is very weird like that. I vote for the European model, not having the helpers, but at the same time, you can still accomplish those goals with those other people too. It's the friendship, the community. You just learn from ultra running. You can learn a lot about yourself because you have a lot of time out there. What do you think about, right?
Yeah. True.
People ask me that question. What do you think about in the trail? I'm like, I might think about, I don't know, the car that just drove by, or you don't even know what you're thinking about, right?
Yeah.
You might think about what you're making for dinner or how it felt later or whatever. You don't know what you're thinking about, but you learn a lot about yourself on the trail when you're out there alone.
Yeah.
And I think that can be rewarding for anyone, whether you're the fastest guy on the planet or the slowest guy on the planet. It really doesn't matter. My favorite thing to do at 100-mile or after the race is over is go take my nap, come back to the finish line and watch the last few hours of the race where the slower people finish. It's really inspiring. I mean, my wife was never a runner. She's finished 300-milers now, and wow, she'll still tell you she's not a runner. But the look on her face when she crossed that finish line is, I mean, it's priceless.
Wow.
It really is. It's pretty special to see the accomplishment. And that's what's cool about ultra running is that not every person that finishes that race looks like, they're not 6 feet tall, 132 pounds, and 0% body fat. We're all different people out there, and all walks of life can do it. True. If you just put your mind to it.
True. Hey, Karl, one last question. I would love to hear from you on what can we expect from you in the future, in the near future. Do you have any plans?
My plans, I sort of have plans. I'm kind of riding the wave a little bit nowadays, but my next race, in terms of racing ultras, my next race is the Kettle Moraine 100, which is in Wisconsin. It's kind of a rolly track. It's not super hard. It's a great old classic course in the U.S. My training has been kind of suspect. All winter I've had some minor injuries where I really haven't been able to train. I broke my toe in March, which took me out for a month, which from March 26th to about probably April 26th, we'll say. I hadn't run at all, not a step. Played a lot of golf, but I didn't run at all. So I'm really not in very good shape, but I'm getting better now. I'm running again and things are going okay. So that's the first race. I'm doing a PGA Tour event just before that. I work on the PGA Tour I do some of the data collecting for tour events where I measure the stimp meter, which is how fast the ball rolls on the greens. Anyway, I do some of that stuff. And then my next race after that will be, I'll put on my SpeedGoat 50K in July.
Yeah.
So that's, once I get back from that 100-miler, that's kind of my 5-week focus on that.
Okay.
And then the Superior 100, which is also, it's in Minnesota along Lake Superior, a great course for me. It's real technical. It's kind of rolling hills technical, but it's kind of my style at this point. And then that race will be over. And then I volunteer at Run Rabbit Run 100. And then from there, I really don't know what I'm doing competitively, but I'll probably find something in the fall. Again, it's sort of in my blood, you know. I can't stop doing
Yeah,
it.
you can't stop. You
You
can't
know,
stop.
every year's the same thing, and for me, um, you know, I really like the 100-mile distance. Everyone kind of knows that, but I don't even see myself doing a 50 or a 50K because it just isn't intriguing to me anymore.
Uh-huh.
Who knows? I might venture into the 200 miler next year.
Would it, don't you see
But we'll see.
yourself? Don't you see yourself doing those like last man standing races?
I don't know. See, I'm not a I'm not. It's not that I'm not a fan of it. I think it's incredible what people have thrown down on those things. Actually, I mean, I mean, nuts. I've never done really well with sleep deprivation.
Uh huh.
Okay,
Okay.
I mean, I don't know what would happen if I did that event. I might just say after 20 years, I'm going to bed. I'm out of here. Um, you know, and same with like the Bark marathons, which is an incredible event. It doesn't really fit my style of trying to see where I'm going, what trail the trail is, or the markings.
Okay.
But the last man standing thing is very popular. I mean, I have a number of clients that are doing one this year. They don't all have goals to win it and go 260 freaking miles. It blows my mind how how your mind works and staying awake like that.
Yeah.
There's there's definitely a true strategy behind that, and I've often tried to give some of my clients a strategy for that. Do I know if that strategy will work perfectly? No, I don't, because I haven't done it. But I can only think of my past experiences of what might work, and then you kind of roll with that. So, but that's sort of my my 1 year plan, if you want to look at that. But really, as I sort of get closer to the end of my career, what's my next move? What am I going to do next? I kind of want to work for the PGA Tour.
Oh wow.
So yeah, well, or just at events. I don't want to be. I don't want a full time job. I don't want that. I want something that I can travel 5 or 6 events a year, go mow some grass. uh, I know it sounds silly, right? It sounds kind of crazy, but I have this passion for um, finally manicured grass, and I don't know. It's weird.
You go all the way from the top of the mountains to those beautiful grass fields.
Yeah, yeah. I'd like to see it perfect. I mean, and that's just it's just my vision. When I build things, I like things to be straight. And like level or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just my vision, and I really enjoy doing it. So to me, when I go to this event that I'm working, it's at Jack Nicklaus's home course, Muirfield Village. So big event. It's just an honor to be at a place like that in my world.
Yeah.
So if I can ride around on whether it be a tractor or whatever it is, a mower, or just do the data collecting that I've done. I liked it, so it doesn't feel
Love
like a
it.
job. I
Love
don't
it.
want to ever feel like I'm working. That's my whole goal, is to never feel like I actually work. I tell people I'm retired now. I'm not retired. I just like to feel like I'm retired.
I love just like I said in the beginning, I really love the how you play on total opposite sides of like
Yeah,
very technical rocky thing, and then which is like one of your passions, and totally on the other side you have a passion for golf, and
right.
just like you're saying, you're very into it.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Every
I
shot's different.
sorry.
Every shot is different.
Yeah,
No matter
truly.
where you are, everything is
Totally.
different. So that's what makes it so. That's what I mean. Some people say, "Oh, golf is so boring," but if I watch golf on TV, I get it. It's not boring to me, and that's what makes it good. As
Totally.
long as I like it, who cares what everyone else thinks?
My friend, um, let's just finish the same way we started. It was such an honor to have you as one of our guests in this uh, journey talk number 3. You are a legendary ultra runner, like an inspiration for many ultra runners out there, myself included. Um, I would love to obviously keep in touch. I will keep an eye on your future endeavors. Um, and we normally of course normally we open this event, this conversation, to other members, and we finish the way that we would do if this was an in-person event. So taking into account this was an incredible event, Karl Meltzer, here's a big round of applause for you.
Right on.
Thank you so much for your time, for accepting our invite right away. Again, thank you so much for your time. Let's keep in touch. Muito obrigado, just like we say in Portugal. I wish you all the success, not only for your coaching services, but also to your running challenges, but also your golf challenges. Send my regards to your wife. Inspiring to see that she finished already 300 miles. That's amazing. Hands down to her. Let's keep in touch. And again, thank you so much, Karl. Thank you.
Yeah, it's always an honor to be recognized. It's really cool to still be in the sport. Thanks a lot for having me. I really appreciate it.
Keep up the awesome work. Keep up for more. I would say 40 years. Let's go, Karl.
You got it. I'll see what I can do. Yeah, and let me know. Let me know when you run the podcast too. Let me know when you run the thing, and I'll drive it out.
Thank you. Just keep doing your best. That's it.
All right, Francisco. Cool. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Karl. Ciao, ciao.
Bye. Yeah, have a good day.
Thank you.
Good night.